am a little collier and I greasy underground. The RAF will never tory when I go up and down. It's bara when I'm hungry and kuru when I'm dry. It's gwili when I'm tired and nevois when I die.
What did I say?
During the meanwhilest.
During the meanwhilest? No, I don't like that at all.
Hello, it is Dexter and me, and we're out with the Griswolds on, today's the 15th of August, and I've come here before I have to go into hospital for the start of my bone strengthening infusions. And I figured I'd come here and make a little film about Scott's Pit. Now, when you think of coal mining in South Wales, you think of the Rhondda valleys and maybe the North Wales coalfields. But the Swansea Valley and the Swansea area were rich in coal seams, and there's a lot of mine workings here, including one right opposite where I grew up as a boy, on a road called Gwern Llwyn Chwith Road. And yes, buying anything mail order over the phone was an utter nightmare. Anyway, the area in question is called Scott's Pit. Now, I have taken a number of pictures here over the years, mostly the dark satanic mills, dramatic sky type image. But today I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to document the site as best I can. The Scott's Pit really refers to the whole site and not just the tower, but locally the tower has become known as, originally the Ivy Tower, and I'll come on to that, and now Scott's Pit. Anyway, the pit was sunk in 1817 by a London solicitor and venture capitalist. Yeah, they had them then as well, called a Mr. Scott, believe it or not. I think it was a John Scott. Anyway, after operating the pit for a few years, he obviously decided that there wasn't enough profit in it for him, and he sold the site, I would imagine, at some extortionate profits to a local mining entrepreneur, a Mr. C.J. Smith, who started operating the pit and also built a mansion house on Gwern Llwyn Chwith Road. Now, Mr. Smith operated the pit for around 30 years when he decided enough was enough, and he ceased operations here too. And the pit remained disused for around about 30 or so years. And in the 1870s, the pit was then recommissioned to pump out, not these mine workings here, but a nearby colliery. And at the time, it housed a haystack boiler, which fired a Cornish beam engine to pump out the mine workings. And I've found a picture here of the tower during its operational days, and you can only imagine the sights and the sounds and the smells of this when it was in its full tilt. Anyway, it remained in use until just before the Second World War, when it closed down altogether and quickly fell into disrepair and ruin, and became overrun with ivy, hence its local nickname, the Ivy Tower. Now, when I was a boy, we used to play here, trying to climb up the ivy as far as we could. Now, some of the boys could get to the top of the tower. I wasn't that brave. That's a long way up. I think the furthest I got was probably like the second or third window. And you could also go quite deep underground into the mine workings, would you believe, before there was like a tunnel collapse. Here you can actually still see one of the tunnel entrances into the colliery. Of course, it's been blocked off now for safety reasons. to stop you going, you know, underground. Ah dear. Unfortunately, people find that they need to deposit litter here, don't they? I don't know. A modern world, eh? Let's go and take a look inside the tower. Probably bats living up there, I would imagine. I'd be very surprised if there aren't. Some old pipe work still there. You can actually see where this old pipe comes out, where it exits the building. It's a bit hard to imagine now that this was part of the machinations, you know, of the 19th century Industrial Revolution. It's very, very peaceful now. Anyway, in the mid-70s then, the council, Swansea Council, obtained the site and set about renovating and restoring it to its the state you see it in today. Now, I also used to play, as a boy, in the ruins of the old mansion house. Now, that burnt down in the 1960s and was then largely demolished. But it's one of those spooky places. Like this place here is fine, but that mansion house always felt like you were being watched when you were in there. And I went back there a few years ago to take some pictures for my sister, who actually remembers going into the house when it was still, you know, a proper mansion house. And I still had that same old feeling. Anyway, this Cornish engine house is one of only two left in Wales. The only other one is on the island of Anglesey in North Wales. And we went there on a family holiday one year, drove up. And I remember falling asleep in the car and waking up to see this tower. And I honestly thought my parents had turned around and come home. Such was the sort of similarity between the two buildings. And also my grandfather, who was born and lived on Anglesey for a number of years, very near to this tower's twin. What he must have thought when he moved to Swansea, I can only imagine. Waking up and seeing this on his doorstep, must have thought he was back in Anglesey. The little song I played at the start of the video is a collier's folk tune, and roughly translated, it means something like, I am a little collier and I work underground. The rope will never break when I go up and down. It's bread when I'm hungry and beer when I'm dry. My bed when I'm tired and heaven when I die. And it only makes you think of what the life that these colliers must have had back then, when health and safety wasn't exactly paramount for them. The most important thing was the profitability of the pit, and if lives were lost, then it was like it was collateral damage for the mine owners. A very, very dangerous occupation, and one which my grandfather did when he moved from Anglesey initially down to the Rhondda Valley. Shortly after the Depression in the 1920s, to find work. He worked on the coalfields there before giving that up and moving to Swansea. Anyway, that is it for this little trip down history lane. I hope Alan doesn't mind me stealing the format for his videos, a little bit of history, a bit of documentary photography. So sorry, Alan, for stealing and probably butchering your concept. Anyway, all that remains is for me to say as usual, stay safe, stay well, look after yourselves, your loved ones, your little pets, and be nice, okay? Just be nice. And we'll see you in the next video.